What is up, YouTube? It is your boy JoeWo, and in today's video, I will be giving you guys the best controller settings you need for the Battlefield BR. Now, if you want to learn to shoot like this and get more wins, make sure you stick around. Now, before you jump into the actual Battlefield, you have to begin with the actual Battlefield, okay? Which is in the settings. So let's get straight into it. Let's hop into settings here and let's get into accessibility. Now, make sure, my personal preference, I like to have all of my narration off, subtitles, all that kind of stuff off. If you do like that, that is fine. A lot of these settings I will change for each single tab. So this is kind of the basics, but obviously controller vibration and all that we will be changing in the controller settings. Onto gameplay here. I like to have my HUD obviously on, prompts, things like that. Infantry aim assist, we will be getting into all of that under controller. All right, so under the infantry tab here, under the gameplay, obviously I'm going to be changing the more advanced settings under each tab, but there's a couple things you should change. Crouch toggle sprint to crouch, vault over sprint on, sprinting door barge on. Make sure the double tap crouch for sprint slide, here we go already, is off because I'm going to be manually binding how I want to sprint under controller. Parachute auto deploy under skydive and insertions. Roll camera and landing roll off. And I think that's, peak type disabled. Now, some people like to have this on, but this does not affect how your character looks for anybody else. So make sure to have your peak type off, because for me personally, I feel like I miss more shots with peaking if it's on. But you can keep it on if you want. It's all personal preference, but I would say keep it off. Prioritize interact and reload. I have on prioritize interact. Obviously, there's looting and chest and stuff like that. I want to be interacting with that with a manual button. Now, under the HUD tab here, I obviously have my HUD and HUD motion on, and then I have my horizontal HUD padding on 70. Now, again, this is all personal preference, but I personally sit very, very close to my monitor. So what this means is on 70, it's going to bring in my HUD a little bit more, so I don't have to turn my head as far to see certain things on the map. Now, I wish it might be coming, hopefully in a future update, that I can move my map to the top left, just because I'm so used to that. But hopefully that's coming in a future update. Now, again, this is personal preference. If you guys play on a TV or something like that, it's probably not a big deal. I just sit very, very close to my monitors. You guys have probably seen the memes. So I like to bring in everything a bit closer so I don't have to be turning and looking everywhere. So obviously, show soldier overlays, all of this is going to be on, and the SOVIS filter is also going to be on. Now, under the advanced HUD and icon settings, I have my big map opacity on 85. That way I can kind of see through it a bit more, and it isn't just blocking a full chunk of my screen. Going down here, I haven't changed a ton of the actual colors, but I do have a couple things changed as I'm aiming and shooting. So the icon intensity I have on 60. Going down here, I have turned down some of my friendly icons, because obviously if I'm fighting, especially on a big map, on a battle royale, I don't want my teammates' icons to be super in my face and can block my vision while I'm shooting or seeing somebody or pinging somebody or things like that. So I have my friendly icon scale on 80 and squad icon scale also on 80. Now, I haven't touched obviously any of the enemy icon scale because I want that as big as possible. So that is under the HUD settings, the advanced HUD settings. Now, a couple other important settings here under HUD, again, under minimap, I have my minimap size on medium. You could go large if you want to, but again, I feel like that does kind of block some of your screen. So I've stuck to medium. It does come default on small, just like me, but that's not the point though. It is on medium. So then I've changed this to 90, 15, and 40. And I have, obviously, that is just a better preference for me for the map. And then I have my view distance on foot on 250. Now, what this means is it's going to be more zoomed out on the mini map, but it can get a bit tricky sometimes as you're fighting in buildings and stuff like that to see an unsuppressed weapon. So there's going to be that red ping on your map. It might be kind of hard to find out how close or far they are from you. It's just going to take some getting used to if you're just changing it. But right now I've been playing for a day, so I'm starting to get used to it slowly, but I have changed this. It does come default on 160, but it is kind of hard to tell on that default setting if there's a person farther away that's still close to you on your map. It's kind of hard to tell. So I have that on 250. Now, a very, very important setting here I see a lot of people skip is going to be your crosshair. So crosshair opacity is going to be on 100. Crosshair intensity is going to be on 55. And then I like my crosshair green. I don't know why, I've just always liked green. And I have my crosshair thickness on default. And then make sure, this is very, very important, to have your infantry crosshair projection off. What this means is in certain areas, if you're running, if you're aiming, if you're shooting, your crosshair is going to be moving back and forth, and it's not going to be a static crosshair, and it just looks funky. Anything that has to deal with things moving on my screen while I'm shooting or fighting, I don't want that. Motion blur, things like that. Even though it's a more kind of immersed gameplay. I'm still playing a competitive shooter, so I don't want that. So make sure to have this off. This is very important. Now going down to hit indicator here, I have this on 160. I have my hit color, my normal hits on targets, that's going to be white. I have my headshot colors on blue, and then my kill color on red. So this is obviously kind of personal preference. You can change this any way that you would like to, but this is kind of mine, and I think it looks pretty clean. All right, now let's get into the most confusing tab known to mankind. I feel like the amount of time I've been in here just trying out random stuff, I should have a PhD in settings economics or something, okay? And that is going to be the controller tab. Now, real quick, I do want to say, if you guys are looking for a new controller, okay, I'm biased, all right? I got the best controller in the game. If you're looking to get you something new, I got a fire design with Scuff Gaming. I'm obviously a little bit biased. I think mine's the best looking. I've been using a Scuff controller for over 5 years now. It's my first controller I've ever had, and I have my own design at scuffgaming.com. So make sure to go check it out. It's linked in the description down below, and I'll show you guys also how this can help you in any FPS game, in any game, honestly, because I don't ever have to take my hands off my thumbsticks or my paddles, all that jazz. But let's take a deep dive here into the most confusing tab of all time. And so boom, you're going into edit settings and into control settings here. Now, I've seen a lot of settings videos and I've tried a lot of settings, and this is what I have ultimately landed on for my Battlefield aim and everything else. Now, I don't want to say this feels like you're playing Call of Duty, but I know a lot of people that are watching this video, or a lot of people that are trying this game, have probably played a lot of Call of Duty. So I do want to say that I have been trying to kind of replicate how my aim feels and how my aim assist feels in Call of Duty on Battlefield. And I'm not saying that Call of Duty is better or anything like that. I'm just saying that because I aim very good on COD, and that's how I feel in Battlefield. So my infantry aim settings are going to be on 45. My field of view is going to be on 120. Now, where a lot of people get field of view kind of confused is that they think that the higher that you go, just the more people you see, and this does not affect your aim. Now, field of view definitely affects your aim a lot because it is more zoomed out the higher you go. Now, as I said, I sit extremely close to my monitor, so I'm going to be playing on 120 because I sit very, very close, so I just can see everything. If you are playing farther back or on a TV, I would definitely just not copy a settings guide that you see and actually just play around for yourself. I would recommend, if you're sitting farther from a monitor or on a couch or on a chair, to play on around 100 to 105. Basically, the best way that I can describe FOV is, imagine 120 FOV looks like, just pretend for a second that you're you and I'm your enemy, okay? So I'm gonna be your enemy way back here, okay? Now, that is going to be a much harder target to hit if you are sitting farther and farther away. Now, the lower you get, pretend that you're going to be seeing less of your screen, so less of your surroundings, but I'm going to be this big. And I know this forehead is big, okay? So I'm going to be a much easier target because it's going to be a lot closer and everything around you is going to be closer, okay? So I would definitely not copy 120 if you are not like a super competitive FPS gamer. If you were just farther away, which is completely fine, I would bump this down to 110, 100, 105, something like that. So you aren't going to be choking those shots, because obviously it's great to see a lot of the map and zoomed out and all of that, but the people you're shooting at do get a lot smaller. So just keep that in mind. Now, going down here, I do have my vertical aim ratio on 56, vertical zoom ratio on 85, uniform infantry aiming off, infantry aim assist on 100, and infantry aim assist slowdown on 70. Now, this is very important because I've been saying this and people call me crazy. If you play with the default, all default settings, I'm not even kidding, Battlefield aim assist is stronger than Call of Duty, okay? It is actually insane. It is like, I feel like I have no control over my right stick as I was playing on the standard settings. Now that I've changed it all for myself, it feels a million times better. I've been helping a ton of people and they're like, wow, Joe, like this actually feels great now. And the first day of the game, I didn't have fun because I was like, dude, I feel like I have to play on mouse and keyboard. Like I don't like this. Now this feels so much better. Okay, infantry aim input curve BF1, BF4, infantry zoom aim input curve on standard, and then stick input acceleration presets BF4, BF3, BFBC. Okay, aiming left and right acceleration is going to be on 30. Now, basically, what this means is, as you are pushing your right stick or left stick, it is going to be accelerating, but it's not going to sound as crazy as it might seem. This is still going to feel very, very fluent, and especially combining that with all of my scope optic changes, it's going to feel great, because a lot of people have the normal aiming sensitivity slowdown and stuff just uniform across the board. And as you change optics and stuff, it gets funky. So that's why their aiming doesn't feel as fluid. Now going under movement here, going down, this is a very, very important setting to change. This is basically like auto tack sprint for controller. So this is going to be a very, very important keybind. Click this, and then you're going to be clicking your left stick up. So whenever you press your left stick up, you are going to be sprinting. Now, before it's like click in and hold, I don't personally like that because, again, I play a lot of Call of Duty. I've been on auto tack sprint forever, where if I push my left stick forward, it sprints, and I've just always liked it that way. If you don't play COD and stuff and you just enjoy just a left stick in and sprinting, that's fine too. I just think it's much easier to push your left stick forward. Again, crouch, toggle sprint, crouch, vault, over sprint on, and then slide is on circle. Now, again, I do have 4 paddles on the back of my controller, if you can see these. So I have my bottom left paddle is going to be my slide. My bottom right paddle is going to be my jump. My top left paddle is going to be my square. So that's if I have to reload, if I have to interact from a chest, something like that. And then my top right paddle is going to be my triangle button to plate up. So that's the best part about having a scuff controller is obviously I never have to take my thumbs from my thumbsticks, which also helps, in my opinion, dead zones later, which I'll explain. So then crouch side is going to be all, and double tap crouch is going to be off. Now, this is one of the most important settings in here too. That's going to help your aim feel much, much, much more fluid. Okay, so going down here, zoom, obviously hold, steady scope on. That is my left click in. Now, importante, okay? Uniform zoom aim sensitivity is going to be on 85, which means anytime I'm aiming down sights, it is going to slow down what my normal sensitivity is. This is like that COD setting that's like, say I'm on 6.6 sensitivity, but a 0.85 zoom, it's like that. But having on zoom transition sensitivity smoothing on, and then in here, I am changing all of them to kind of match or just testing I've done of what scope feels best. Now for BRs, I like the 4x scope, but if you do not change these individually, the higher kind of optics that you get, it's harder to track people. Now, especially in Battlefield, sniping is very important. So as you're sniping people, it's gonna be hard to drag your right stick and track them or like flick on controller to somebody, because if it's on uniform, it's gonna be very, very slow. So for 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, all the way to 3.5, I have it on 85. Now for those higher zooms, I keep it standard at 100. So 4 and 4.5 at 100. And then for those sniper scopes, the 5, 6, 7, 8, I have it on 150. Now this again will take a little bit of getting used to if this is your second guide that you've watched, because I've seen some crazy settings videos that I'm not gonna say who, but is wild that I see them getting slammed and I'm like, we're copying these settings? What are we doing? So yeah, but this will take a little bit of getting used to if you enjoy sniping. I think that everybody should enjoy sniping in this game because it's very good. But as you have those higher optics, it's going to be very easier to track somebody that's running, that's going across your screen and things like that, because you have a higher zoom coefficient on those higher zoom optics. So that's very, very important. Going down here, not a ton of important settings here. We've kind of gone through some of these. Peak type, again, I do have off. Okay. Gyro, I don't use the gyro. I think that's like you can kind of tilt your controller in certain ways and all that. I don't do that personally, but if you do, that's cool. And then back to these settings. Now, I didn't change my ground vehicles and transport vehicles and aircraft and all that, because I'm gonna be honest, I care about aiming and shooting. I can't fly, all right? I'm not a pilot, all right? I don't fly jets around or choppers or tanks or anything like that, so yeah, I haven't changed these yet. I might do a full in-depth one later after I test it out and try it. I just don't want to give you guys any misinformation of things I haven't tried yet. So that is pretty much all default. Now, going down, I've seen some settings, guys. Okay, joystick is not your thumbsticks, okay? I've been seeing a lot of people change their joysticks in here, thinking it is their thumbsticks, and a lot of settings guide saying that this is your thumbstick dead zones and stuff. It is not, okay? Go down here and go down. It's at the very bottom, probably the most important tab ever. I don't know why it's at the bottom. That's gonna be controller tuning, okay? Now this is gonna be your dead zones. Now, the way I explain dead zones is how far you can push your stick until it activates. Now again, because I have a scuff controller and I have 4 paddles on the back of my controller, I never have to take my thumbs from my thumbstick. So I like to play on a 0-0 dead zone because I am going to be having my my crosshairs and centering exactly where I want them to be at all times. The other thing is, the higher dead zone that you go, the more, I guess you could say, input lag you might feel, because you have to push your stick to a certain distance for it to activate. That is not good, okay? So, sorry, very important setting I personally missed. And I saw some comments on the last settings video like, Joe, I like vibration on. If you like that on, more power to you, baby. All right, but controller vibration, please have off. Please, 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 for all good things in my soul, okay? Please have that off. That's very important. No benefits are from, in my opinion, your controller vibrating while you're shooting at somebody. That's not a good thing, okay? But yeah, now on to left and right stick, okay? So I have my center dead zone on 0. So that is gonna be how much you have to push the stick in general for it to activate. I like this on 0 for both left and right stick. Again, if you have it at a higher number, I've seen some people say put it on 10, okay? I don't think that stick drift is ultimately the end of the world. I personally like stick drift because then that is going to be the least amount of input lag that I'm going to be feeling as I'm moving my stick. Now, if you are taking your thumbs from your thumbsticks a lot, if you aren't playing claw, if you have a lot of stick drift, right? If your controller's older and you've been beaten up on those sticks, pause. I wouldn't recommend playing on 0. I would say maybe 1 or 2. I would try to go as low as you physically can until, if you aren't touching your right stick, it's just going wild, okay? I like 0 because it feels the most responsive. The other thing is, I've seen people complain that it feels like Battlefield has like built-in dead zones for everybody's controller outside of these settings. The devs are saying that they're gonna like take a look at it. I don't know. But again, this will definitely help a lot. The axial dead zone I have on 2. I've seen a lot of people go a much higher than 2. Basically, what this means is if you're pushing your stick to the right or to the left, it is how much sway and how much kind of diagonal positioning it can go. So the higher that you go, the less freedom you have to aim diagonal. So I like it on 2. If it's on 0, it's gonna feel very floaty, which if you like that, that's great, but I personally like 2. Now, max input threshold for me is going to be on 70 because I don't want to have to push my left stick fully forward or fully to the right or fully to the left to sprint or to move in the direction I want. Now, right stick's more important. Center on 0, axial on 2, and then obviously it's going to be on 100 because that will make it more precise as I'm aiming on my right stick, because then I can go fully higher to the right or fully higher to the left, things like that, where then it can be more precise aiming compared to on my left stick. It's not needed because I'm just sprinting in a certain direction. So make sure, this is probably the most important tab here, is your dead zones. It's not your joystick tab. I've seen a lot of settings videos. It's your right stick, okay? Now, for the triggers, I have my left and right triggers on 0, 5, 0, 5 because I do have instant triggers, so mouse click triggers. Now, if you don't, that's fine too. I would still try this. I would just maybe turn up the OT dead zone a bit higher, so in case your finger accidentally does touch your bumpers or triggers, that isn't like chucking a nade or a stun or aiming in or shooting, I might change that. But I personally go 0, 5, 0, 5. Now, if you guys have made it this far in the video, I do have a favor to ask. If you have learned anything new today or just want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing down below, smashing that like button and sending this video to a friend. It obviously helps out the channel a ton. A like is free, a sub is free, and I would appreciate it a lot. And help your friends get more kills if they're on the roster. Definitely send this to them. Buddy, now we're gonna keep it pushing here. Like I said, a PhD in settings economics, okay? You guys are gonna feel like me after this. So we're going down to graphics here. Now, obviously I have graphics and performance on custom. Now I do wanna preference this real quick. I like to see a good looking game. Obviously no settings video is gonna be completely uniform depending on if you're on console, PC, anything like that. But I do, in my opinion, like to have less frames. I say less frames, but I still have a very good PC to see better and to see better things. I see a lot of settings videos putting everything on low, and I'm like, great, you can flex 500 FPS, 400 FPS, but if you can't see anybody or see any of your surroundings, you're just gonna die. So Me personally, I like to have things a bit higher, and I'll show you now. So under graphic settings, go here to edit, and you can basically copy these word for word. There's a couple very, very important ones. I, again, like to have some of my textures, things like that, much higher so I can see better. It looks better as I'm playing. I don't like to see a Play-Doh game that looks like a toaster strudel. Sorry, toaster strudels. Going down here, make sure to have off-screen space reflections. This is an important one. You don't want to have any reflections on your screen from the sun. You're basically not trying to get flashbangs twice, okay? Screen space, AO and GI, have that off. And then I have my high fidelity objects amount. That's gonna be on ultra. So basically, as you see somebody in the distance, they're gonna look a lot clearer as you're zooming in, scoping in with those higher optics, those zooms, things like that. I have that on ultra. So you can basically just copy these word for word. I would definitely, again, not recommend putting everything on very low, in my opinion. So if you still think that you aren't getting enough FPS, you can drop some of these down to high or to medium. But unless you have, again, a toaster strudel for a PC, which is cool if you do, you know, put everything on low. But I like to have things a bit higher, even if it is sacrificing some FPS, because the game looks amazing. Now, going down to world brightness, UI brightness, and sharpness, I have this on 55, 55, and 60. Going into advanced here, fixed resolution on 100, frame limit or frame rate limiter off, NVIDIA reflex low latency enabled plus boost, DLSS technique on DLSS. Now this isn't upscaling, frame gen, all that stuff that does hurt your input lag. This is not a full like AI system. This is just making your game look better. I did have this off or on off in the beta, but ever since the actual game has came out, I've put it on DLSS, and quality, I think it looks buttery and it looks amazing in game. And I have frame gen off and future frame rendering off. This will cause input lag and just have your game not feel smooth. It might say that you are getting much higher frames, things like that, but I don't want any frame gen. This is just normal upscaling DLSS, not the frame gen, okay? Going down here, again, I explained these are very important settings too. FOV is going to be on 120 for me. And if you're a very competitive person, put this on 120. If you're sitting farther back at your setup, on a couch, on a recliner, in the car, I don't know what you guys be playing, put this down to 110, 105, or 100. Weapon field of view, make sure to put this on wide, okay? Wide will make your gun look smaller, meaning that you'll see more people on your screen. It'll give the kind of illusion of less recoil. Do not put this on narrow. I see a lot of people keeping this on narrow. You want to have your gun obviously look smaller and see more people. Please, 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 for all good things in my soul, turn off motion blur. You don't want any blur at all when you're playing any game. Make sure to turn off motion blur and camera shake down to 50. Now, if you want the more immersed Battlefield effect, you know, feel like you're, you know, in war, you can put this up, but please, please, please put this on 0050. Reduce sprint camera bobbing, have this on as you're sprinting. Your screen isn't shaking, isn't twerking. It's not looking like me at the Friday night on a club, at the club. And chromic aberration, off. Make sure that you are on full screen. I do have a 1440p monitor that's OLED. I think it's the best. I see some people playing on 4K. If you guys are still on 1080, I'm sorry, okay? I still love you. Let's get you on 1440p soon, please. Aspect ratio auto 480 and VSync is gonna be off. Going down to the audio tab here. I gotta be honest, that's something that I would definitely work on. It's only day 2 of the game right now, but audio is definitely a bit rough. So right now, I have my master volume on 100, sound effects on 40, music 0, commander voiceover, soldier voiceover, and the effects of this on 60, 60, 50. And I'm on headphones, and I'm on War Tapes VAL. Now, I will be changing some of this stuff for the BR. I'm just trying some different stuff. I gotta be honest, I can't hear footsteps all that well at all, okay? So I'm going to be playing around with some different stuff, but I am on headphones and War Tapes VAL. I've seen a lot of people complain about audio, but I haven't found a good one yet, so stay tuned for that. Voice chat, I haven't heard prox chat. I thought there was supposed to be prox chat in this. Maybe it's coming in the future, but I haven't heard any prox chat at all. I know that is going to wrap up our settings video. Now, I will be dropping my first thoughts on the BR, but I do want to know, what do you guys think of the game so far? If you guys have been playing, if you guys haven't yet, let me know down below after you get all these settings down. Let me know what you think of the game. I've been having a blast. New game, new BR. I'm sold, right? So hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you guys for sticking around, and I'll see y'all beautiful people very soon. Peace.